In this lesson, we will create joints for the eyelids. Let's move back to the side view, and we'll grab our joint tool. And what I'm going to do is draw from the origin of the eye joint out to the edge of the eyelid. Let's start with the upper lid. Alright, there's one. Again, we'll go in and deselect. Grab the joint tool again, hitting spacebar, and let's go ahead and create the lower lid joint. Once we have our two chains, we can move back to our perspective view, and I'm going to go ahead and hide polys so we can snap these two joints over. So if I were to grab both roots and enable axis snapping, you'll see that if we try to go ahead and snap them both to that center, to the center of the eye joint, they might not snap properly because it's trying to snap to several objects here. So what I would do is just go one at a time and just snap to the eye joint. I might drag one of the eyelids down just to make this a lot easier to snap to the joint we need to. Now we can go back to that root and bring that back up, and we're good to go. Okay, great. So once these are in place, let's go ahead and bring back our mesh so we can take a look at the orientation. You can see that it's kind of off right now. We want it to be centered to the eyelids because if they were to deform from where they are currently, you can see that the deformations are certainly going to be off. We're going to get some weird rotation. So let's go ahead and grab both root objects. I'll disable snapping. And let's go ahead and rotate them to the center of the eyelids. If you need to, you can always view the topology of your mesh as a guide. You could use the hotkey NB for that. Great. Alright, so once they have been reoriented, we can go in and rename these. So for our lower lid, should be right at the top, that's going to be root L lower lid 01. The skin joint will be BN L lower lid. And I'll go ahead and copy this to rename the end joint, and we'll fix the prefix. Okay, for the others, I'll just go ahead and pause the video and take care of renaming these. Great, so both chains have now been renamed. We used upper lid for the chain at the top. Alright, let's go ahead and work on resizing these. It's kind of difficult to select between each chain, them right on top of one another. Feel free to go ahead and hide polys. So I'll just go in and grab the upper lid joint. Underneath the bone drop down, we'll set the size to custom, and we can go ahead and leave it as is. I think this is great. No, not quite. Let's go ahead and set this to about 0.15. And for our lower lid, we'll set its root joint to 0.1. Much better. Now, as far as parenting goes, we don't want this parented to our eye joint. You could imagine if the eye joint were to rotate, the eyelids would also follow and deform and look very weird. Alright, so instead we want these chains to be parented to the upper jaw. Let's take care of that. We'll grab their two roots. We'll find the upper jaw bone and parent. Much better. So now with that selected, as we rotate, everything follows. Great. So I'll go ahead and bring back polys. And we're ready to now mirror these across. So grabbing the root of the upper lid, that selected, we'll grab our mirror tool. All of our settings should be fine. Let's do the same thing for the lower lid. There's its root. So that's selected. Going back to the mirror tool, we'll mirror. Now, I'd like to point out something interesting. Sometimes as we reorient our joints the way we've done for these joint objects, if you were to take a look at the orientation of the bone object here on the right side, you could see that it's not quite aligned the way it should be. It's not like the left side at all. All right, you can see that it's ideal for animation. It's pointed the right way, but this, the joint that was mirrored is at a twist, an angle. Now, I'm not going to go ahead and correct this here because I'm going to show you how to do this when you skin, after you've skinned. Let's say if you've overlooked this and you need to go in and reskin. I'm going to show you how to set that all back up in a very fast way. So let's go ahead and leave the orientation as is. It will be just fine. I know sometimes that can be challenging to do because we want it to be set exactly the way it needs to initially, but we're going to learn a cool technique for correcting issues like this. All right, so everything else is good to go. We can go ahead and grab the upper jaw and start to rotate that just to make sure our joints follow. Beautiful. Okay, so before we get any further on creating joints and control objects, it's a good idea to spend some time organizing our scene, and that's what we'll do in the following lesson.